Hi, this is Umair back with another tutorial series. I've been covering and making tutorials on Java, game programming, Java practice problems, Java recursion problems, and much more. But I'm going to start programming in Python. First of all, I'll make a series on the Python programming, and after that I'll be making more tutorials on game programming in Python, database programming with Python, and much more. So let's start with Python. I'm not going to be talking about what is programming because you might be learning Python as your first language and want to know what is programming language. If you want to learn that what is low level language, what is assembly language, what is high level language, make sure to check out my video computer science principles in terms of programming. I have given the link of that video in description below. So let's start working with Python programming. So first of all, you need to go to python.org/downloads and you need to download the Python setup, and when you will go to that URL you will find all these lists of Python. So click on this Python 3.4.6. Once you download it, you need to install it with default settings. I'm using Windows machine, you might be using Mac or Linux, so download accordingly. Once you download it, install it, and when you will install it, you will go to C drive. Inside C you need to go to the Python 3.4, and I'm using 3.4 version of Python, and inside it I will see that the Python is installed successfully in my system. Alright, and now I'm going to start working on programming, start writing the Helloworld program from the start. So the IDE that I will be using for this tutorial series is PyCharm by JetBrains company. If you want to use another IDE or another text editor, you can also use Notepad, Notepad++, VS Code, and other Sublime Text as well. Okay, so but this provides bunch of options and tools inside this IDE. That's why I'm using this tool. If you don't have it, make sure you search on Google or any search engine PyCharm. You will get to that link, and from where you can download this IDE. It is not free. You can use it for 1 month as a trial period, but if you don't want to buy it, make sure you use other IDEs or text editors. Maybe recommend is the Sublime Text. Okay, so I have opened up this PyCharm and I have created an empty project by going to File, New Project, and I have created an empty project by giving it my location and the interpreter that I'm using. Alright, so let's close it. I have already created this project, and inside this project I have created a Python file. What you need to do, you need to right click on it, new, and click on this Python file, and you need to give it a name. I have given it a name, first.py, and that is an extension for the Python file. If you're not using this IDE, you can simply create a text file in Notepad and save it with the .py extension. It will save as the Python extension file in your system. Alright, so let's close it. And I have this was already written. This is for the interpreter to run my app, and sometimes we might be writing our code in our Linux machine, so that really helps in that machines, but I'm using Windows, so let's go with the default settings of this Python file. So let's start talking about how we can print message, how we can define variables, how we can write conditional statements in Python. So let's write a print hello world statement inside Python. So I have opened this first.py. So I will write print, within the brackets I will write hello world. Alright, you need to, this is the keyword, and after that you need to write the bracket, and within the double quotes you need to write any message that you want. I have written hello world. In order to run this file, and we need to go to this terminal. You can use the command line if you're not using this IDE, and what you need to do, you need to go to the path where your file is saved. Okay, and after that you need to type Python, and after that the name of file .py, the extension of Python file, and I will press enter. and you can see that it has printed hello world in my terminal or CMD if you're using other IDE. All right, so make sure you follow the same syntax. If you are trying to learn Python as your first language, make sure this is the reserve word, and that should be written as it is. We can't write print capital or other characters just like uh, uh, capital letters, and after that we need to write the brackets and the double quotes. We can also use the single quotes as well right here. Okay, that works as the string, and I'm gonna save this file, and I'm gonna run it. It's gonna print the same message as it was printing earlier. All right, so this is how we can print our message. Now let's talk about how we can perform mathematical operations like addition operation, subtraction operation, division, multiplication, and much more. So let's write print, and if you want to add the addition, I can simply write print inside the brackets without single or double quotes. I can write 2 plus 2, and in the terminal I can write python first.py, and it's gonna print out my message hello world, and it's gonna print out the result of 2 plus 2. Because I haven't added the double or single quotes right here around this 2 plus 2 statement, so it has printed the result of it. The interpreter of Python will start from the top. It's gonna run this line, and after that it's gonna run this line, and it's gonna print out the message in the same sequence as we have defined while writing our code. All right, and we can use other operations as well. Let's copy this one, paste it 3 more times, and I'm gonna change it plus, minus, division, multiplication. All right, so let's save this file, and I'm gonna run it. So you can see it has printed out 4, the result of subtraction, the result of division, and the result of multiplication. All right, as I was talking about that, I haven't added the double or single quotes. So let's try adding the double quotes around 2 plus 2, and let's see what it's gonna print. So I'm gonna save this file, and I'm gonna run it, python space first.py. So you can see it has printed the same message as it was written inside the double quotes. So everything that is written, whether it's a mathematical operator within the digits, it's gonna print out the same message. All right, and if you want to print out the result, we need to write the mathematical operation, mathematical statement without double or single quotes. All right, so I hope that you have got the idea. Now let's try to work with variables. Variables are just like the containers. If you want to store anything in our memory, in the RAM, we need to store any particular value, whether it's an integer or a string, our name, our age. It should be stored in a variable, and variable is of any type. Variable can be of any name. We can name the variable A, we can name the variable name, we can name the variable roll number, we can name the variable mobile. All right, so let's write name equals to, and I'm gonna write my name. Okay, so after that let's try to run this file. I'm gonna save this file, and let's run it. You can see it has not printed anything because I haven't used the print statement to print the name or anything that is being stored in this variable. So what it's doing, this particular value is being stored in a container, and the name of container is name right here. And in Python we don't need to define the data types. In other languages like Java, C#, we need to define that this variable is gonna take the integer value, this variable is gonna take the boolean value, this variable is gonna take the double or float value. All right, in Python we don't need to define the data type before the variable name. It's loosely typed language. All right, so in order to print the value of this variable, right now this value is being stored in this container, and this value is stored in the RAM, and that can be identified and fetched out from the RAM again with the help of this variable. So I'm gonna write print and within the brackets I can write the name of this variable. All right, and I can change the name. We can write it ABC, we can write is A, B, or C, D, E, F, any kind of name we can give it to this one, but it should be a meaningful name. All right, this is the best practice of writing code if you have just started learning Python programming. Okay, so I'm gonna save this file and I'm gonna run this file. You can see that it has run this file and it has printed out the value of this variable that was stored in this container. It hasn't printed the name itself because I haven't added the double or single quotes around this variable name. And let's define other values. So I'm gonna write num1 equals to 2, num2 equals to 4, num3 equals to 6. All right, and now if I try to print the values of these variables, the containers, I can simply write num1. All right, so let's save this file and run it. You can see it has printed the message Umer, the value of this variable that was stored here, and I have printed out the value that was stored in the container with the variable name num1. All right, so same as you can print out the values of num2 and num3. So I haven't defined the types that it's gonna take. It is a string. The sequence of characters is called string in programming, and this is the integer values. All right, and this is integer. There are other data types as well, like num4 equals to 3.4. It is called the double or float value. All right, and I can write num5. Let's add character 1 equals to, and for defining the character we need to write single quotes, and let's write U, and this is the character, and the character should be a 1 character. All right, it can be a number, it can be a dot, it can be brackets, it can be anything, but not the single quote again. All right, it's not going to understand what you want to do. Okay, so the character should be defined within the single quotes, and the string can be defined within the single quote and within the double quotes as well. If the value is 1 character, it will be considered as 1 character. If it's more, then it will be considered as a string. So let's write U inside it, and I'm gonna print out the value of character 1. So I'm gonna write character 1. All right, let's save this file and I'm gonna run it. Okay, you can see that it has printed the value of this variable. Make sure to follow the same sequence. The value should be on the right side of equal sign, and the variable should be on the left side of equal sign. It works from the right to the left. All right, and we can use the other operators as well. Let's say that we can use the plus or division operators. Let's say I have defined num1 and num2 right here, and I want to print the summation of the values of num1 and num2, and I can write, rather than writing 2 plus 4, all right, so let's try to print out the num3 first. Okay, I'm gonna remove these statements. Let's save this file and run this file. It has printed 6 because 2 plus 4 equals to 6, and I have only printed out the value of num3. All right, but I want these values to be taken from other variables. Like I can write num1 and num2. So what our interpreter is gonna do? Interpreter is gonna take out the value from num1, which is 2, and it's gonna take out the value from num2, which is 4. It's gonna sum the values of both the variables and store the summation, the result, in the variable num3. All right, now if I print out the num3, it's gonna again add both the values. So let's save this file and I'm gonna run it. So you can see that it has printed out 6 in my terminal. All right, And we can also write other things like if I want to multiply something with the result, multiply 4. All right, and if I run this file, it has printed 8. So what is the sequence of the if it executed summation first or it executed this first? All right, actually if we know about mathematics, then the precedence means that the multiplication and the division is executed, is performed first. So what it did was it read the multiplication sign, it left out the summation sign, and it first multiplied the value of num2, which is 4, multiplied by 4 becomes 16, and after that it added the result of both these values with the num1 and it becomes 18, and it has printed 18 right here. But if I want my num1 and num2 to be summed first and after that it should be multiplied with 4, I can write brackets around it just like this. Alright, and if I save this file, it's gonna sum both the values, which will become the 6, and then 6 multiplied by 4 will become 24. So let's run it. You can see the result in my terminal is 24. Alright, and I can use these brackets to enforce that that particular values or variables should be performed first, and after that you need to go and perform other operations if there exists. Alright, so we can have other operators, mathematical operators as well. Let's remove these two. And what if I want to apply the, let's say that num1, we can use division or multiplication or subtraction operators, but there are two other operators as well. We have our, let's say, modulus operator. I want to mod with 2. Alright, and if I'm gonna run it, it's gonna print out 0. So what is modulus operator is gonna do? It's gonna return the remainder from the result. It's gonna divide num2 with 2, and 2 multiplied by 2 becomes 4, and the remainder will be 0. If you know a little bit mathematics, there is a quotient at the top. 2 multiplied by means 4 divided by 2 becomes 2. Alright, and 4 divided by 2, the remaining value that comes at the down becomes 0. So that's why it has returned 0, and it will return 2, and that will return, actually in mathematical term it's called the quotient. Okay, so the earlier was the remainder, the modulus operator, and this is the division operator. And what if I want to, let's say I want to apply the exponential operation on the num1 and num2. Let's say that I want to apply the 4 power 2. Okay, so I can write 4 multiplied by 4. Alright, and let's say 4 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 4. So let's run this file. It's gonna print out 64, but let's say that I will change the value of num1 to 3, and I want this num1 to be the exponent value and num2 to be the base value. So I can simply write double static sign. Let's write num2 double static sign and num1. Alright, and this will become the base and this will become the exponent, means 4 exponent 3. So let's save this file and I'm gonna run it. So it will print out 64 again. Alright, and I can write further things like I can divide this with 3 again, and all such things. We can perform these things. So I hope that you have got the idea how to apply the mathematical operations in Python, plus multiplication, division, modulus operator, divisional operator, and how to define the variables without telling it the data type. All right, it will be identified the value that we are storing, how to define a character, how to define a string, the sequence of characters, and how to use the variables for performing any mathematical operation, whether it's exponents, whether it's multiplication, division, or modulus operator. One thing I want to mention right here is that the name of variable should not be the reserve words in Python. So what are the reserve words? We can't use print as the name of variable. All right, if I write print here, it's gonna give me an error. All right, because I have used this print word as the variable name. We can't use the reserve word. There are multiple reserve words in Python. So if you want to see that what are the reserve words, you simply go to the I simply searched on the Google that the reserve words in Python. It's showing me that these are the reserve words: and, def, if, not, return, try, all these reserve words, and these reserve words should not be used as our variable names. All right, and there are some other recommendations that we can use while defining the variable names. So first of all, we can't write the number, we can't start the variable with number. Like if I define 2, it's gonna give me an error that you can't start any variable name with any digit. All right, whether it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, it shouldn't start with the digit. And we can also use the underscore in the variable name, whether it start, in between, at the end. All right, and I can copy this one and paste it right here. And we can also use numbers in between the variables. All right, we can also use the number at the end but not at the start. All right, and there are some other characters, punctuation characters like at sign, num, at, which we can't use in the variable name. We can't use the dollar sign, we can't use the percentage sign. All right, these are the punctuation characters that we can't use in the variable names. All right, so let's change it to num2 and replace it with our num2 right here, so that there should be no error in our program. All right, so for now in this video that is enough. Make sure you practice it by adding different values, printing out different values, and applying different mathematical operations. In the next video I will talk further about taking the input from user, that how we can ask user that enter your name, enter your age, enter the marks in your 5 subjects, so that we may perform different operations on the data that we will get from the user.